What's going on, JustHoopTalk Nation? You're with Justin Henry, Will Thompson, and today we will be going over the trade that was the blockbuster deal and the impact of the James Harden to the Nets deal. But for Rocket fans and for Pacers fans, this trade had a little bit different impact. So we're going to talk a little bit about the players that were acquired, who came, who's gone, and what that means for these teams and these lineups moving forward. So stay tuned.
You are now tuned in to the next best thing. Justin Henry, Will Thompson.
Yeah,
Let's go.
y'all can talk that talk, but this is just hoop talk. Updates on the news, analysis who's who gon' win, who gon' lose. Is it true? Is it true? This is just hoop talk. This is just hoop talk. Ball.
All right, guys, so obviously we had a blockbuster deal. We know what it means for the Nets. They're getting James Harden. They had to give up a lot to get him. But these other teams involved, the Rockets, the Cavs, the Pacers, they also got some pieces too. And we're going to break it down. But before we do, I'm going to go over the trade in full details. Before I do that, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Just Hoop Talk. Might as well do it while you're here. So the full trade details are Brooklyn Nets get James Harden, of course. Cleveland Cavaliers get Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince. Houston Rockets get Victor Oladipo, Dante Exum, Kirkus, 4 first-round picks, and 4 pick swaps. And the Indiana Pacers get Caris Lavert and a second-round pick.
Wow.
Will, man, I know we talked a little bit about this and just the trade itself, but what were your thoughts when you heard this deal for, for the Rockets and for the Pacers, man? Because I think they're the forgotten teams in this deal.
Right. Yeah, this is easy. They're easy to gloss over. It's not as big of names coming back to them, but I think the Houston Rockets won this deal, man. I really do. You watched that team before James Harden came back into the fold, and they look good. John Wall's looked good this year. DeMarcus has looked good in spots.
Mm-hmm.
They have some really, really solid pieces. A couple bigs. What's the big's name? Woods?
Christian Woods.
Christian Woods, yeah. Christian Woods looks great. It was very obvious that James Harden was bringing the team down. It looked bad. He had a terrible attitude, terrible work ethic, came in overweight, throwing aside all the COVID protocols and all that stuff. It was obviously that he had to get out. I think it's addition by subtraction, and to bring over a few pieces as well. They look good, man. I really like what they were able to do. And not to mention the picks, man, like a bunch of picks. So they got an extra piece. They got rid of an older player, an older head case type situation player, got a piece back, got some pieces for the future, and they look like they came out with a win on this one for sure.
Yeah, the Rockets, man, this side was really heavy, and the coldest part about this all is that you saw these players hungry, man. Like when James Harden made those comments about the team not being good enough, like you saw the way that John Wall came out and was really like, dude, if you don't want to be here, then go. We got people in this locker room who want to be here, who want to play, and if not everybody buys in, we can't do it. So to hear John Wall actually say that means a lot. It doesn't just mean that he's back athletically, which he is, and it's great to see John Wall, but it also means that he's taking that step as a leader, which this Houston Rockets team is going to need. They've needed a leader in that locker room because Harden was not that leader. As much as he wanted to be, he wasn't. So it's good to see. It's also good to see Christian Wood playing at an extremely high level, playing at a most improved player rate, probably going to be averaging somewhere between 20 and 25 points on the season. Like you mentioned, getting DeMarcus back. But the haul for this team, obviously they had Caris Lavert in the package, swapped him for Victor Oladipo. And when you start to think about it as a Rocket fan, you're like, is there really going to be that much of a drop-off from James Harden to Victor Oladipo? The points may be a big difference. You're going to lose, obviously, a 35-point scorer with James Harden. But the superstar itself, Victor Oladipo does bring a 20 to 25-point capability on any given night. He can take over a game. And when you pair that with two other potential all-stars in John Wall and Christian Wood, you're looking at a team that's going to be a playoff contender now with the renewed attitude and probably a chip on their shoulder too, based on the comments that James Harden said.
Yeah, I think, like you said, John Wall coming out and speaking on it, and even DeMarcus coming out and speaking on it as well. There was clear division in that locker room, and so they removed that from the situation. They brought in a guy like Oladipo, who was a all-star for sure. What was it, 2 years ago before his injury?
Yep.
Clear all-star, most improved player. Was averaging 26 something a night. Guy who could get buckets. John Wall, who looks like he's back. Yeah, like you said, they have 3 borderline all-stars with some other guys coming off the bench. They got a bunch of shooters all around. PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon. This is a good-looking team, man, especially in a Western Conference where it's clear the Lakers are the team to beat in the West. But outside of that, the number 2 spot is open. That number 2-3 spot is open for a team like the Rockets to step in and step up, start winning some games, and move up in the rankings in the West. So very, very – it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to change the landscape of the West, and I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with for sure.
Yeah, and it might take a minute for this team to gel, especially with the new piece there in Oladipo. But when you think about it as well, this could be a very scary team come the bubble. If there is a bubble scenario, we're talking even an extended playoff scenario where there's 10 teams that make it, this can become a very, very hard team to beat for some of those number 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds. Yeah. If they're not one of those seeds themselves. The Houston Rockets, to me, have the look of a team that's going to be hungry, going to be fighting, and also have their future set up too. They gave up a lot of picks when they got Russell Westbrook. They got Chris Paul. Yep. And this new regime has done an excellent job at replacing that while still staying competitive. And those guys are all young too. John Wall, Christian Wood, Victor Oladipo, they're all still relatively young. So if you can add some really nice younger pieces to this team, this has the potential for a really good turnaround and a very quick turnaround from a team that was not, they were in the Western Conference Finals not too long ago. So I like what this Rockets team has done. And the one thing that I wasn't sure about is why they felt the need to get Oladipo. I think he's a good player, but I was curious as to why the Caris Lavert thing didn't work out. Not sure if it was a contract thing or what, but I really like the Caris Lavert pickup for the Pacers. This is a player that is going to be one of the top young offensive players in the league. We saw his breakout really last year in the bubble. And to those who were watching before, obviously you could see his offensive prowess. Like, you knew what he was as a player, but we saw it come full circle there in the bubble. Will, what are your thoughts on Caris Lavert going to the Pacers?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I don't know what happened with Oladipo in Indiana. I know we started hearing about that last year.
Yes.
And he wanted out. And I have no idea why or what happened there. Maybe some Indiana
Pacers look good.
Fans. Yeah, I thought it looked like a great situation. I was really excited for the future of the Pacers. They're a team that was trending up, and they're playing well again this year. Sabonis has really established himself. He looks like all-star, man. He looks great so far this year. He's really took a huge step forward. But for whatever reason, I'm assuming it just wasn't working with Oladipo. He still wanted to be moved, so they had to move him. They moved on to another guy who can come in and get buckets for them right away, and that's a big thing. They replaced buckets with buckets.
Yep.
This is clearly Sabonis' team now. He's the guy there. He's a do-it-all guy. So they've established that. They don't have this dynamic with two, maybe potential leaders of the team. So I think to me, they didn't lose much at all.
As
much as I like Oladipo,
right, they're one of the better teams in the East. And when you start thinking about it, they have 4 players who are really top, really good players. You got Sabonis, you got Miles Turner, Malcolm Brogdon. These aren't just chumps. Yeah. And you throw a guy like Caris Lavert on this team for the offense, bro. I feel like there's a lot of potential with that. I think they were trying to use Doug McDermott as their starting piece, their little Kickstarter off the bench. And he's like a 10 to 15 point guy. You can't expect him to come and drop 20. When you got Lavert coming out there, he can run an offense by himself. And in the East, he's going to be a
Yeah.
dangerous piece. We saw, like we said, what he did with the Nets there in the end of the playoffs. And, you know, if he can do anything like that for Indy, this team's going to be tough. And I feel like when you give up a younger player for an older player, a vet, with this team already, they might get a lot out of him, man. I'm curious to see what his performance and his role is going to look like on this team.
I feel like, he struggled a lot. Or no, he didn't struggle, but he was in a couple difficult situations for himself where he was the number 2, 3 option all the time. And so I think in Indiana, he's going to be the clear number 2 option. He's going to be a lead scorer on that team. And this is a great opportunity for him to really establish himself as a scorer in this league and a potential budding star. Man, I really do think that he can get buckets at that level. We saw him in the bubble when Dinwiddie was out. He stepped up and did his thing. Yep. And so this is a great opportunity for him. I know he's got to be excited for the opportunity to get there to a team that's winning and really, really be that guy, you know?
Yeah, and this has all the makings of that piece, that one piece that you get rid of the disgruntled vet and you bring in a rookie who's hungry, who wants a taste, who wants to show his worth. And you add that to a team that's in the top of the East right now, man. It has all the makings of one of those game-breaking deals that we talk about here in the future. The forgotten piece in the Houston and Brooklyn part of the deal. We're talking about parts of this deal that we may be talking about in the future. And Caris Lavert, maybe that hidden gem that we're talking about. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Indiana fans, are you happy with this deal and what it means for the Pacers? And Houston Rocket fans, let us know. Was it tough losing Harden? Are you guys happy with the haul? You happy with kind of the reboot button? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on all social media platforms, including TikTok. Just Hoop Talk, another edition in the books. We're out.
Sir, peace.